You fucking adorable.
Dude, someone made a free VTuber model of Smaug, and I love it.
Hey, are we gonna play some Lord of the Rings, or are we gonna keep talking about Pokemon?
I mean, do we
Because
gotta?
we're live now, so yeah. What's going on, everybody? It's been a minute since we've done any sort of role play or D&D on the stream, and it looks like nothing has changed. We still can't go live when we're scheduled, and we still talking about random crap when we finally do go live. That being said, welcome to the Lesser Rings. We're doing a session 0. Um, yeah, I'm just kind of gonna go through some of our characters and whatever Kevin has planned for us. Kevin's gonna be our lore master for this campaign, and we're all pretty excited to get rolling. And you'll notice we do have a new face with us, and we've gotten rid of the dead weight of Derek. I mean, the great DM that we had of Derek. Hopefully, that
Oh,
he'll be able
that
to
was
come join us again
cold.
at some
Don't
point.
put that on me.
You're the
And
one who said it. What
That
do you
was
mean don't put it on me?
cold.
and yeah, we'll see what happens. Kevin, it's all yours, bud.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, sad, unfortunately, that I for one, am going to be sad that Derek cannot join us. Maybe at the moment. I know how much he was really looking forward to playing in the setting, um, and getting involved in Middle Earth. He really does love it. Unfortunately, due to work circumstances and situations, he can't join us at the moment. But as soon as he's able, then we will certainly look to slot him in and fit him in, along with maybe some other familiar faces that we may have along the road. But Charlie, who is joining us, he is playing currently in another Middle Earth game that I'm running, just with a few friends and stuff. So when the opportunity came, I spoke to the rest of these guys just about getting a fourth member in that we believe is going to be reliable and going to take on the spirit of what we're looking to run here. Um, I asked Charlie straight away, and thankfully the rest of these guys are pretty cool with that as well. And I think we're going to have a good group. And like I said, once Derek hopefully is available, then we will look to get Derek involved and we can keep rolling on. Um, yeah, so I put it across to the players here, just about running a session 0. I haven't actually run an official session 0 where you get together like this and you talk about the campaign, you talk about characters and stuff like this. So I really wanted to give this a go, with the players here, just so we can build some expectations, as well as meet the characters. As if you've been watching the channel, been watching the Curse of Strahd game, Ray, Nate, and Nathan all put a lot of effort into the characters that they build, and working with Charlie in the other campaign that I'm running. I know that he has a very distinct idea of characters as well that's going to fit right in. So I wanted us to just talk about our characters, and we can go around, talk about the ideas of our characters, and maybe how they link together with each other. I know we've got two connections already, and they might not even have a connection between the other two, but that's absolutely fine. The whole point is to bring people together and form a fellowship. That's what we want to achieve in a Lord of the Rings setting. Um, but we want to discuss how they fit into the world, their backstories, well, what they want to share from their backstories anyway. The look and the feel of their character potentially. Obviously, they're not going to have everything fleshed out. Potentially, maybe only Ray, I guess, who has already played this character, has a really good idea of how this character is going to be different from what we've already seen, um, due to circumstances which we have deliberately set up in the prologue game that we have run. Um, it is a follow on from the prologue 3 shot that we previously have run in this setting, with Aurelian being the carryover character, with maybe one or two other connections here and there to the past. And we're going to look to be running this, as I said, as a follow-on continuation of the story. For in this world, elves are immortal and live forever until struck down, or they choose to give up their lives, I guess, and move back to Valinor in the west, the Undying Lands. I don't quite think Aurelian is there yet, but that's what we want to do. We want to explore the setting. We want to explore the characters a little bit, get used to them, get to know them a little bit. We'll try and make some rolls tonight. Charlie knows what sort of roles I'm going to be asking for.
No, not those. No.
That bodes
Oh,
well.
I am enjoying said rolls to be 0 for the time being.
That doesn't sound good.
It's done.
Yeah, and we'll begin the story, I guess. Ready for session 1 next week. So this is Middle Earth. What I don't want to do is restrict the players. I don't want to run such a heavy Middle Earth Tolkien game that it's really restrictive, that you don't have any leeway on anything, you can't have any inputs. What we want to do is bend and shape your expectations to sort of the world a little bit, as we have done with Aurelian, and Ray's done a really good job in doing that. And unfortunately, Nate has actually never watched Lord of the Rings. Everyone get our shame bells out.
Shame.
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 But
None of them?
No.
No, I have seen the first Lord of the Rings, and I've seen at least one of the Hobbits. I fall asleep through any other time that I try watching the rest of them.
Okay.
So
And going into this, I have explained to all of them, especially Nate, that a lot of people probably know more about Middle Earth than they do Faerun and the Sword Coast already.
mhm.
So it's not important to know everything. What's important is to know your character, just how that fits into the world and the world that you're in, which is easily enough done. So that's where we're going with. So I think what we'll do is we'll introduce our characters slightly, first of all. We'll get a name and sort of who they are, the class, the background, if you wish. And then once we've introduced them, I'll talk a bit more about the world and obviously what the campaign is about. And then we can go back into the story of your characters and how that fits. Because then once we've got the story of the characters, then I know what I'm going to get you to roll, shall we say. So, if you don't mind, Ray, as we have already been introduced.
Kevin, before you start
Yes.
that, I have something for Nate, first of all. Secondly, just so I don't have to type all of this out, Jeremy, yes, I appreciate you pointing that out. I have noticed it. I cannot figure out where it's coming from. I think that line is on the overlay. It's something that didn't properly get deleted when I was making the overlay, but I haven't found what layer it's on yet. So please, hopefully it's not too big of a deal, and
Okay.
I didn't notice.
I can get it
notice
later.
What is it?
There's a black line across the cameras, and I can't figure out if it's not on our camera feeds, but it's showing on OBS, and I'm not sure if it's something that's on the overlay, something with OBS. I haven't been able to track it down yet. It's real small, but you can you can notice it.
Welcome to being an artist, Nathan, where you don't know where the
Yep.
problem is on which layer.
No, I noticed it before we went live, and I was trying desperately to track it down. It's one of my expletives that I let out before we went live, was seeing that and trying to figure it out, but I could not find where it came from as of yet. If I can't get rid of it, I will just rebuild the overlay and get rid of it that way. But I just didn't have time to do that for the stream, so here we are.
Yeah, so obviously, if anybody has any questions or any things we want to do in regards to just tinkering character sheets, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be tinkering our character sheets, make sure everything is in order. And that's what we're going to do. So, Ray, if you don't mind, as we have already been introduced to your character, if you'd like to go first and just tell us, obviously, who your character is.
Right. Before I do that, I do want to I did tell Kevin this, but Charlie messaged me and he's like, hey, can I get a commission of this character I'm playing for a Middle Earth game? And then I'm just like, the one with Kevin? And he's like, yeah, I'm supposed to be traveling with this high elf. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, that's me.
I was told I was traveling with a high elf with a little bit of shadow.
A lot of bit of shadow, bro.
Oh well.
So edgy.
Yeah. So yes, I am playing Aurelian, son of Talvin, from the first game we played. Something that's really fun is that I originally went to Kevin and I said, my idea for a character I want to play is an elf who has recently figured out he is not as immortal as he thinks he is, and is kind of grappling with what mortality means. And then Kevin said, well, how about we make this like the inciting incident? And I'm like, yes, that sounds way more fun. So that entire time we were going through it, and I was just waiting for whatever Kevin was planning. And before the last part, I messaged him and I was like, whatever you have planned, make it worse. I don't even know what you've got planned, just make it worse.
And did it meet expectations?
It met expectations.
Yeah.
So for anyone who hasn't seen the original trilogy that we produced, Aurelian is a high elf. He is from Eregion originally. After its destruction, he moved to Rivendell with his sister, Iwiel. And Aurelian was the kind of person who he was very, very like egotistical, stuck up, mischievous, always causing problems. And he never really, because he was so sheltered, he never understood what it was like to have to fear for his life. And when his sister Iwiel went missing, and he had to find help from Estelle and Halbarad and Villy, and eventually Magalor, he eventually figured out what that fear of death is, and now is also grappling with the fact that his family may have had something to do with the destruction of Eregion. So I am playing a scholar. I focus on a lot of history, a lot of ancient civilizations, sometimes some stuff with the stars, just as like some background stuff that I thought would be fun. And yeah, and I am also related to one of these nerds, but you guys will have to figure that out along the way.
Yeah. I wanted to tie in what we were going to be running as the campaign here to those one shots, well, 3-shot trilogy that we did. And so I was trying to come up with a story and got some inspiration from the Middle Earth game I actually played in, where something happens in the past and it's about exploring that past. And so when Ray, you came to me with your suggestion or ideas on what you wanted the character to be and how you wanted the mental break sort of thing of your character, then it all sort of linked together. So I'm glad it must have come across in the right way and the story came across in the right way. And you obviously played through that extremely well also. Yeah, we Ray's just mentioned a few characters from that trilogy that we ran. One of them was Halbarad, which was played by Nate. Um, excellently done as well. Um, uh, really took on the spirit of the little that we know of Halbarad from the Lord of the Rings itself. Um, but we're going to be meeting the son of Halbarad in this game. So Nathan, um, you are the host, I know, but as we have a nice little segue link there, would you like to talk about what your who your character is? And I know we might not have it fully explored, or you might have. I'm not sure. I know mechanically and what we've got on the character sheet is explored, but um, you might have a few extra ideas that you want to add in, or might still be thinking about or toying with.
Yeah, I'm still kind of toying with some of the backstory, but
Yep.
the important part, or one of the important bits, you've already mentioned. I am playing the son of Hollerback at you. That's a deep cut. If you haven't seen the original trilogy, you probably don't get that. But it's a look back to the original trilogy. Um, but no, I'm playing a son. I'm playing uh, Damrod, son of Hollabard, Hollibrand, Hollab. I don't know. We said
How
15 different names for that guy, so
Yeah, because you misspelled it.
it's not
Halbarad.
my fault.
Yes, it is. Also, I really like the idea of us playing a new game, and you're like, I'll play the son of a character from the original.
That I can't say the name of.
Mhm.
That was actually my suggestion, just because
Gotcha.
we had the mechanical idea of like Nathan's character, but we had no name. We had no sort of, as far as I'm aware, no sort of backstory or origin. Um, so I sort of was just looking through the names, and I was like, oh, what's a sort of coolish name? And I saw Damrod from the list, and I was like, okay. And I just thought, you know, Damrod, son of, why not Halbarad? Um, yeah, so it was my doing. Feel free, Nathan, to change it if you do wish, but
Well,
Well,
there you go.
now that we know Kevin made it up, it's a cool idea.
Well, there you go. I made fun of Kevin. Are you happy, Nathan?
No, because I'm sure you'll just take it back now that you found out it was Kevin.
No, I'll keep it there. I think that's still funny.
No, when Kevin, that's the first thing I noticed on my character sheet when Kevin kind of helped me put it together and sent it over to me. Um, I noticed that it said "son of Hollaback at ya," and I was excited because we now had more than just Aurelian as the link to the original trilogy. So I'm excited to kind of build off of that, and I imagine that he's probably heard the stories of some of what happened in that original trilogy. Like, I I haven't exactly established, what age he would have been when all that was happening, but as long as his father made it back and didn't die in that story arc there, then it's possible. Yeah, I guess it's even possible, even if he had died, that Damrod has heard these stories. And Kevin and I have talked about my character being kind of, I wouldn't say obsessed with Aragorn, but holds Aragorn as a role model, as kind of a hero of his. Um, so I'm imagining that, hearing the stories that his dad helped, his dad walked with and taught and protected and assisted Aragorn, that's going to go a long ways into my character, I think.
yeah. So obviously the Dunedain are men, um, and their lives are a lot longer than normal men. Um, Aragorn at the time of Lord of the Rings is like 87, and he goes on to live for like another 150 years or something afterwards. Aragorn is a little bit more of an exception, but still, the Dunedain in general have a much longer lifespan than normal um, normal folk of Middle Earth. Um, and this was again the trilogy would have took place somewhat like 60 odd years ago. Um, so Damrod was probably wasn't maybe even born at that point. But again, I'll leave it down to Nathan because Halbrad wasn't exactly old. You know, you're looking at Halbrad probably being around 30, 35 at the time of when we ran the story. Which again, for a Dunedain who might live to maybe 150, you know, isn't a long time. Um, so, I mean, again, he could have been born at that time, Damrod, but um, being that we are going to be starting at level 2, with the exception of Aurelian, you're probably still somewhat inexperienced. You're just starting out on your adventures, your journey. So, um, again, something for you to think about, Nathan. Obviously, is how old you want him to be, his maturity level, how serious he might be about things. Um, by this point, Aragorn is has been established as the chieftain of the Dunedain. When we saw him in the prequel, the prologue, um, he'd been with his people, but maybe a couple of years, 2 years potentially, and was learning the ways of his land, his people, um, and his culture a little bit more as he was fostered by Elrond and the elves. Um, and he is probably he's again that's entirely down to you, Nathan. Don't it's this is a new character, so your character is your character. You feel free to run it how you do. Um, but the general idea is that he's respected, liked, loved by his people, and pretty much by everybody that knows him. He unfortunately he was the sort of Mary Sue of the story, but well, maybe not so much Mary Sue, but he he earned his due, sort of thing. Um, so I like the idea of the how Halbarad's son might want to emulate his father's, probably best friend almost, great chieftain, captain of the Rangers.
I love the idea that maybe he was. I'll have to think on whether he was on the way when all this was going down, or whether he was born, a little while after uh, the original story, our original trilogy that we ran
Hmm.
happened. But I like the idea that he grew up hearing those stories of those adventures and potentially other ones um, that his dad and Aragorn had, and that's kind of where that seed of not only is he admired by the people, but that like there's a special seed there that matured that admiration and grew that admiration a little more than others because there was a connection there.
Yeah, I mean, and again, Estelle means hope. Um, that's why he was given the name, and it's not like, oh, I hope I win the lottery. It's no, we've got to believe and hope. That the savior is coming, um, and he was given that name almost prophesized by Elrond to be the one that was going to stand up against the darkness and lead the people of the West against Mordor ultimately. Um, and so, probably around his people, there is that sort of reverence almost of him. Um, so the young Dunedain wannabe rangers, as such would certainly be looking up to him, and wanting to follow him no matter what. Um, Again, if reading, I'm sure it's Return of the King, when Aragorn takes the path of the dead under the mountain to go into Gondor, where all the ghosts are. In the book, he travels with like 30 Dunedain Rangers of the North, and Gimli, exactly the same, is like, never would a dwarf, like, never want to pass under a mountain, but I'm scared. But so much does the Dunedain Rangers trust and believe in Aragorn at that time, they follow him, um, where a dwarf wouldn't go. So, um, that sort of reverence for their captain, their chieftain, um, is littered through the story in these little snippets here and there. What class is Damrod?
We went Wanderer. So I kind of wanted to have something similar to Estelle or Aragorn, what I played in the prequels, because I was kind of comfortable with that, and I liked the way that felt. Like, obviously, there's going to be different abilities, different backstory, and things like that. But I really liked the way that that character felt and the way that it played. So I kind of wanted to go that same type of direction again. Um, so we went Wanderer, and then for background, I took Seeker of the Lost. So uh, Damrod's thing is kind of history and trying to discover relics of the old kingdom and the old times, and just kind of unearth, learn, but also unearth the those secrets that people may not know about the past of his people.
The secrets
Some
of the
things that may
past.
be lost.
Yeah, um, and I like that fit a lot. Again, the Dunedain are the kingdom of Arnor fell a long time ago, and even before that, they were the remnants of Numenor. Um, and to have a young, impressionable ranger of the north wanting to go out and rediscover um, ancient and lost treasures, relics, um, things from that time, I think would like seems to fit pretty well. Um, Especially if the kingdom is to be restored at some point in the future, maybe now that there might be hope of that. Um, yeah, and I completely agree with. I'm glad that um, you guys sort of lent towards wanting to maybe play a sort of similar class to what you played in that, because you don't want to be relearning all these different features and stuff. You already got a feel of what that class does. Why change it up? Um, and Again, that made a lot of sense. And I think just for the ease of everything, it worked. You know, it should work pretty smoothly, hopefully. Um, Nate, um,
One last thing that I had thoughts for this character is, I know people have mixed feelings about the new show, The Rings of Power, but I haven't finished the first season yet. But I've enjoyed a lot of it. But one of the things that kind of stuck out to me and kind of is kind of like shaping the way this character feels. It's a different version of this, but I liked the way that Sealdor in the Rings of Power has that like adventurous spirit. He wanted to go west. He wanted to go, learn more. He wanted to go to this new land and and just take on this journey. And I feel like that Damrod has kind of that sense, but in a different way. He has that adventurous spirit, but it's for a different reason. He's wanting to take that and adventure out and learn these things and discover this lost lore and all that. But he's seeing it as I need to go out. I need to be away from, just being around my people all the time in order to find those things and learn those things and reestablish those lost items.
Yeah. It's nice to draw inspiration from um, different sources like that. I'm sure we all do it when we create characters and we have ideas of what we want to play and who we want to play. Um, and I've certainly got a. I was hoping Rings of Power was going to work out, and I gave it as best a shot as I could. Um, a lot of my criticisms were mainly around Galadriel and her characterization, unfortunately. Um, but I mean, I'll certainly go back and watch season two if season two goes ahead. Um, but anyway, we're here to make our own story. Um, so our third player from that trilogy that we ran, um, talking about playing the same class, but just reskinning, reflavoring it up. Um, Nate, do you want to talk us about your character?
Yeah. I would like to say I also have mixed feelings about the new Lord of the Rings show. Uh, I just don't really know how to feel about it yet.
Because you have
But
no idea what's going
Yeah,
on in any of it. None of it
What?
makes any sense to you.
Yeah, they're
well,
talking about
either
rings.
way,
What do you do with rings? I don't understand.
who's
either
this
way,
sloppy
I'm
teenage
excited for season
Galadriel?
2. Yeah, I mean, oh, damn. Just so it was weird how they did that thing. Don't really agree with it, but that's all right. Um, but I am playing probably a very different character with very different motivations than the other group of everyone else. Um, I am playing Marikar the Quiet. He is a slayer who is from far away. So this gives him an excuse not to know what the hell's going on in this realm, area, region that we're in. But he's on a little bit of a personal quest. He grew up in a smaller village, youngest of 7, and his family owned a farm. Making ends meet. He lived a very rough and tumble life, um, and he is. I'm still playing with the reasons why he left his home, but you know, as far as his personality, he's a very uh, someone who's willing to stand up for others and himself. He doesn't go looking for problems, but he's no stranger to a good scrap. Um, in his travels, he's been kind of going from like merchant caravan, hanging out in this town for a little bit, finding a couple odd jobs so he can afford to move on somewhere else. So he's a bit of a wanderer himself. In his travels, he also picked up the calming skill of woodworking. Uh, so that's kind of he makes a little side cash that way. I think overall, what I kind of had written down here was he had a lover of his who left the town, and he is tracing that little trail that he has. They were getting along well, and she just up and left. Um, and he's determined to find her. Um, but in that, he may fall into something bigger uh, in this great world that he's in. Um, that kind of covers all of it. He's not really a hothead. He's very, very withdrawn, awkward, shy. Um, but when he does get angry and he does have to defend himself or his friends, then that's where he kind of just lets loose. But other than
And
that, he's very, very collected.
yeah, I love the moniker that you put on there, the quiet. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, having that sort of introvert,
Hmm.
um, and someone
Very much
who
so.
doesn't want to say anything, maybe for fear of, saying the wrong thing.
Yes, yes,
You spoke about having potentially like an abusive dad or an abusive
yeah.
family of some sort, or
Oh yeah, I mean, being the youngest of seven on a farm, it's like he was always the one getting all the crappy chores, and he was always getting beat on by his brothers, and his dad was really hands on as well. So there's a lot of that stuff playing into, why he's just had to defend himself, but also why he's developed that, if I don't say anything, people won't notice me, and then I won't get into conflict kind of
yeah,
thing, is kind of the idea of where his characters come into. Uh,
yeah.
but
Again,
in his,
I loved the sort of the duality of you're quiet and you're introverted, but then again, when you get pushed too far, then that
mhm,
rage sort of
yeah,
comes to the surface because the quiet ones are always the ones you got to look out for, right?
yeah, ain't that the truth? But yeah, so I'm excited to explore this character and kind of learn who he is, kind of learn what makes him tick in a certain way. And I guess really one thing that I'm interested in learning about this character is kind of what what gets him past that point of now's not the time to be quiet.
Hmm.
Um, is kind of an interesting thing I'd like to explore with him. But at the end of the day, he's willing to, if he finds a group of people who he can trust and who is kind of doing things for the right reasons, that's more than enough reason for him to be associated. And I don't think I'm going to have issues with
Yeah, the you are a Bjorning.
it.
They're
Oh yes,
from
that's another thing. Bjorning.
yeah. So
Uh,
you are a Bjorning from, so you're from the other side of the Misty Mountains and across the Anduin River. The
mhm,
Bjornings are the people who have gathered together, who are scattered, sort of living in um, small isolated communities up and down the riverbanks. But Bjorn, who people will know from The Hobbit, he sort of started to band them together after the events of The Hobbit, and people sort of were drawn to him, and he sort of became a pseudo chieftain of them all, and so they became Bjornings from that point onwards as a
mhm,
identity. But yeah, they very much would live in these very small farming communities, sort of look after themselves. Um, not very big villages at all. Um, and yeah, very rustic, and they wouldn't probably receive much word of what's happening in the great wide world. They probably know what their neighbors are up to, the woodmen, and maybe they see an
mhm.
elf or a Mirkwood here and there, or maybe a trading caravan from across the mountains, which is like a million miles away, supposedly. Well, look how big the mountains are. Don't want to be going across there.
That's a
Um,
lot of work.
it's a lot of work. Yeah, and again, I'm very interested in the ideas of maybe this love that you had was actually a part of one of these trading caravans from across the
Mm,
mountains.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
um, and you
yeah.
finally
And
taken the plunge.
right. Yeah, and like as far as that aspect of it, I mean that's all in your hands. If I wind up finding her dead on the road somewhere and that's where that leads, whatever it is, I'm excited to see kind of where that ends up as well. But yeah, this is a completely new world for him and he is starting to enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, excellent. Um, so finally, we come to our newest member. Apologies, Charlie, if it's taking a little bit long to get to you, but
I got nothing but love.
um, yeah. So again, like Charlie's been playing in my other game. He's been playing a dwarf from the Iron Hills, from the Lonely Mountain in that one. Um, barring Troll Piercer, barring Spider's Bane, um,
Javelin thrower.
yeah,
Take your pick.
many feats he has achieved in a short journey across Mirkwood so far. Um, so he's gone for the opposite this time. So, Charlie, do you want to talk about your character?
I he is Mablong of the Woods. He came from Mirkwood. He's never really been out on an adventure before, like a long excursion. He trained in Mirkwood with multiple warriors out there who taught him how to use a sword. And after some time, I traveled to Rivendell and met up with a long lost cousin, Aurelion, who taught me how to shoot a bow, and has also taught me how to use like medical herbs and things of that sort, because we're gonna need probably two of us.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. He's more of a prankster. He likes to play jokes and create a little bit of trouble. Elrond's gotten onto him a couple times. He puts his hair up. Elrond doesn't like that either. Aurelion, from as opposed to when she was a child.
he.
Now, I'm sorry. He
You're all good.
is more like rooting and doesn't want to have fun anymore. And my personal mission myself is to prove to Aurelion that even though she may have lost people, he may have lost people, life is still worth living, because after all, he is alive. He did survive. And that's really all I've got at the current moment.
Hey, Kevin. So I realized this while I was looking over my notes. He's my cousin, and you said he was related on my mother's side.
Yeah.
Is he related to that uncle?
He would be related to that uncle.
I know, but like son of that uncle.
Probably. I would say probably not, but
Okay.
I'm more than happy for that to be a discussion here with us or off stream, whatever.
Are we talking about the uncle?
The uncle.
Oh God!
Now I kind of want to be the son of the uncle, because now I'm kind of intrigued.
The uncle that betrayed all of Aregion to try to get the ring.
I don't want to be his son.
Too late. The path has
Dang
been
it.
stained with blood.
Darn. I'll bring honor upon my house once more.
Yeah. Again, we're going into this with Mablung, or Rook, as he likes to go by, and hide his real name. Maybe Rook, because Mablung is quite a famous name from the First Age amongst the the Sindar elves. He was a mighty warrior of their king, and perhaps that's a lot for Rook to live up to, and maybe not being as serious as he would like to, as he's being portrayed by everyone else to be by his name. He wants to sort of just go by Rook. How does that sound, Charlie?
Yep, it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe something like that. Yeah, you didn't know about, Aurelian didn't know about her uncle's betrayal at the time. So, you know, Rook here was probably not even born at that time. So no one would really know, apart from you, from your experience, and I will, I guess. So, yeah, if that's something that you two want to explore, and again, you could be the son of that uncle, or you could be the son of an aunt, or the son of another uncle.
Yeah, just give that some thought, and we'll get back to it.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
We'll connect on it and see what the better avenue of approach is.
Yeah. What class is Rook going to be?
He is a treasure hunter.
Yeah.
Um,
What's the background? What did you use?
lure of the road is the
Yeah.
background. He's
Yeah. So
he's more of
go on.
a he's more of a roguish type person. I don't really like to be up in the fight too much. I kind of want to flank or try to figure out what they're doing ahead of time and report back. That's about where we're at with this one.
Yeah. And again, as you explained, the that sense of adventure, the sense of wanting to go out and discover new places and stuff like that is very much tied to the lure of the road. Um, Wanting to get out and go to new places. Um, Again, I'm sure Aurelian had that sort of same sense when, um, when he was maybe the similar age. Um,
Dude, your 1300s are so cringe.
yeah. The terrible 2000s. Um, yeah, and the elves of Mirkwood are very much that. They are skirmishers. They use the terrain to their advantage, hiding, and then ambushing and stuff like that. So it fits very much with an a Mirkwood elf, to be that sort of treasure hunter. Um, and again, just because it says treasure hunter doesn't necessarily mean you have to go and steal or cheat or um, rob treasures. That's just sort of a general name that they picked up from the Hobbit, effectively. Um, so yeah, again, we've worked with Charlie. I've worked with Charlie a little bit in creating the character and getting a sense, especially mechanically. Um,
Definitely.
yeah. To that, then I'll just bring up some mechanical changes I've made from Adventures in Middle Earth and 5e, because it is using D&D 5e, just reflavoring, reskinning everything in the Adventures in Middle Earth handbook. Um, but some of the changes I've made, the players have got access to it in notes and stuff on Roll20. But spears. Um, Spears can be, if you use a spear two-handed, which I'm sure, I think Charlie, you was exploring the idea of using it. Then you can use your dexterity instead of strength, so it will become finesse if you use it two-handed. And you also can gain. It will be then classed as a reach weapon as well. Um, Again, spears don't get a lot of love in these games. It's all about damage output. It's all about optimizing that. That's a lot of the time. Not everyone does it, but very much so. You know, and it's not going to break the game in doing that. But it's very flavoursome. I mean, we can all think of maybe a spear user um, who wasn't very strong but was very adept at using it. We can even look at Oberyn Martell from um, Game of Thrones, for instance. Why are you
Mhm.
nodding, Nate? You haven't seen Game of Thrones.
No, I have seen Game of Thrones actually, like until like sixth season, and then I
Okay,
stopped watching.
that's good. That's excellent. That's
Everyone,
excellent.
everyone says that's where I should have stopped anyway. Just
See,
Yeah,
see, now I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
oh,
Uh,
I haven't
shame,
watched Game of
so
Thrones.
shame,
I had a
shame.
I had a question about the spear thing you just mentioned.
Yeah,
I also have a spear. Would I still be able to use that two-handed strength wise?
yeah, yeah.
Or once you use it two-handed, that determines now it's a finesse.
No.
Okay,
Again, you can use strength
it's
or
versatile like
dexterity.
that.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
it's whatever, however you would wish to use it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it just gives some added benefits to wanting to use a spear instead, especially for someone like a treasure hunter or a rogue, um,
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. Why couldn't a spear be used nimbly and dexterously if it's
Right.
used in two hands, as well as just having that little bit of extra reach factor as well. I mean, you haven't got the
Mm-hmm.
benefit of shield, so you know you're being hurt by not using a shield, So why not give a little bit of benefit that way?
Yeah, and realistically, as far as the spear goes, I mean, a big thing about the spear is you got to put it in the right spot. You know,
Yeah.
you can't just like with a sword, you can just bash on something, and at very least, someone might get a bruise if you hit them hard enough. You know, with the spear, it's such a precise weapon.
Exactly.
Gotta
Yeah.
gotta really dig it into the right spot there. I like that.
Yeah. I've added some extra, one or two extra weapons as well, without trying to break the lore immersion of the setting. Um, there is a longsword, but the longsword is a D10 one-handed and um, a D12 two-handed. Um, to bridge the gap, there is a hand and a half sword, um, which replaces longsword from D&D effectively, and very much the same. It's a D8 weapon one-handed, two-handed. It's a D10 weapon, but why would you ever use a long sword two-handed? There's just no benefit from it at all. But you all see Aragorn in the movies do it. You know, you see so many iconic heroes and stuff using a longsword two-handed, but it just in D&D just doesn't, other than flavor, you're hurting yourself. So again, because it's a if you use a hand and a half sword with two hands, because it's a versatile weapon, then you can also use dexterity with that as well. Again, just adding that little bit of extra flavor and versatility in your play styles if you wished to go that way. Obviously, you have to be proficient with long swords to be allowed to do that. But again, that's something to play with. Couple of different shields, some different armors accessible to different peoples. Um, and that's it, sort of mechanically wise for that. Aurelion has access to some high elf magics, as she's a descendant of those that have come from Valinor. We saw a little bit of that in the trilogy that was run. Again, it's never going to be anything too game breaking, but flavoursome and certainly useful in these spots. And as I said, Mablung or Rook, Marakar, and Damrod will all be starting at level 2, whereas Aurelion will be starting at level 4. The leveling will be slower for Aurelion, catching up around level 6 if we get there. Well, we should get there story wise, but it's if the character gets there, I guess. Yeah, so around level 6, everyone should be there about the same time, and then everyone will just level at the same pace and at the same rate. I guess for me to explain has anyone got any questions first, or anything? Anybody got anything to add, or would like to ask anything? So I'm not talking too much, and we make this more interactive.
I have a really big question that I think probably anybody that watched the trilogies or the trilogy that we did, and probably at least Nate and Ray probably have. That seems like it needs to be asked. Will there be a tavern?
Let me think. There will be at least 2 taverns.
Yes.
All right, 6 sessions right there. So we know it's at least going to be 6 episodes long.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
Our one shot was supposed to be into a trilogy partially because of a tavern.
Yeah.
There's a episode and a half of Tavern.
It was. There was a lot of taverning going on.
Yeah, Charlie hasn't been in a tavern with us.
No, he hasn't. He probably will leave a tavern with us.
So that does
I can be rowdy in a tavern. I'm not worried about it.
that does bring
And that's
up
the problem. That's the problem right there.
there's two problems: the rowdy one and the person that, which is going to be end up being Nate, since he's the quiet one that sits in a corner and just stares at the rest of the party for half a
True.
session. And Kevin's like, "So are you gonna go talk to him?" No, I think I'll just keep sitting here.
And then the rest of us
Yeah.
are like,
That guy's creepily staring at us. Dwarf, go fight him.
and then you go to talk to him, and immediately he says something racist, and you gotta fight.
And then you just gotta fight him. Like it's just. But no, you guys didn't want me to fight him.
That does bring up a real question, though. I hesitate to ask this because I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to change like the chemistry of the group that we already have, but I'm curious to see what everyone's thoughts are on kind of what the tone of this game is going to be, because Curse of Strahd was beautifully goofy. It got dark at times and got really intense at times, but it was fantastically goofy as well. And I'm just kind of wondering if like we're kind of looking to stick in that kind of direction and leave our weird jokes and stuff in, or if everyone's wanting to kind of steer it to like a bit more serious role play, or like what are the players and the DM's kind of thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, personally, I mean, I like to keep at least playing this character, I want to keep the game of the tone a little light. There'll be a little bit of I like to try to do a little bit of funny things here and there, but I mean, when is this taking place exactly?
So, the time period is, it's going to be set 3000, and I haven't decided whether 3016 or 3017.
Yeah, I get you on that.
Shut up.
Now,
No,
just for,
they were good years.
just for context, they were good years actually. Just for context,
Yeah, I know.
Frodo leaves the Shire in 3018 with the ring.
Mm.
Right. So it's going to be a year and a half to start off with before Frodo leaves the Shire. The game for everyone is going to be set in Eriador, which is where the Shire is. You may not enter the Shire because the hobbits of the Shire don't like outsiders coming in. But maybe there may be a visit potentially. That could be a question for yourselves, for me to pose a little bit later on. But it's going to be set and centered mostly around Bree and the villages of Bree. There isn't Eriador is empty. The land is empty. You have the Shire, and then you have the villages and towns of Bree, and then after that, there's nothing. It's just ruins and open countryside, wilderness and danger. From there all the way to Rivendell, the last homely house. There may be some hidden peoples here and there, but it's largely going to be focused in Bree, and from that point on, you'll sort of go out, and the story will be taking place from that position effectively. It's going to be centered on that region. And I'm going to run it as faithfully as possible to the story of the Lord of the Rings. So, as I said, it's a couple of years. It's going to start off a couple of years before Frodo leaves with the ring, but as I've explained to Charlie in my other game, there will be some, 6 months may go by, and we rejoin the story, and then you take part in the story over a couple of months, and then winter hits, and nothing happens. You go back to your sanctuaries, they're called. Aurelion might go back to Rivendell, Mablung might go and visit Linden. Um, Damrod might go and visit his people, or seek out advice from his father somewhere in the countryside. And then again, a couple of months might go by, and you all gather back together, and you begin adventuring again, and the story continues on that way. Um, and it will take place over the time period of the Lord of the Rings, from when Frodo, a couple of years before Frodo leaves the Shire, to when Frodo returns to the Shire after the ring has been destroyed. Um, so you'll be witnessing the events that happen in the region at that time, and that's my plan. That's what I'm trying to shape and sculpt. To answer Nathan's question about tone, um, I love a good serious story. I do like it, but I'm never gonna stifle players' enjoyments, and stuff like that. Um, the tavern moments that we had, uh, especially the first one, it felt very natural, and the role play, and it wasn't very helpful for a one shot. But what you did was, in that moment, you were able to explore your characters and fill out your characters. And so your characters then became part of you rather than just a mechanical token on a screen. They actually became actual characters in the story itself. And then you were able to build off that, in interactions while you were traveling, and then in interactions at the scene of the crime, I guess. It added weight because you started to care about each other. You started to have opinions on each other, and that first tavern set the stage for that. And so, if you read The Hobbit, the dwarves start off in Bag End singing a song about breaking plates and bending forks and spoons. They get to Rivendell, and the elves are frolicking around in Rivendell. Um, the tone is different to the Lord of the Ring, yes, but it's a part of the world. And so having light-hearted moments, it's what the setting is about, because without those light-hearted moments, you don't then have the weight of losing those light-hearted moments. You're fighting to keep those light-hearted moments. The shadow is all those light-hearted moments are gone and no longer exist. And so the free peoples of Middle Earth are effectively fighting against the shadow to keep those moments. So, um, I I am more than happy to go with how you wish to explore, your characters. I would, as long as you're true to your characters, um, then absolutely fine. Um, so I would say that's my point of view. Who else has got any thoughts on Nathan's question?
I will say, you know me, I'm all about like the lighthearted stuff. Aurelian's gonna be a downer, and I apologize for that.
Well, see, my thoughts are this. Well, let me address Charlie's thing. He saying that he likes to keep it lighthearted. I don't know if you've caught much or any of what we used to do on Curse of Strahd, but it was at one point referred to as the Monty Python of Curse of Strahd. So while we had our very intense roleplay moments, it was pretty goofy at times too. At one point, we had a kobold running around, hanging dong because
Mhm.
loincloths got ripped off. Like it, and it was such a fun campaign, and I don't think that we could just completely put that nature aside for another game, but at the same time, like I asked the question because I don't want to go into the game, as kind of a Ragnar type person when we're trying to be a little more serious. I don't think any game should just be completely serious without humor or anything like that. But I didn't know if we were kind of trying to lean away from the goofiness of Curse of Strahd and explore, a little more serious game, or if it's just like, let's bring Monty Python to Middle Earth now, or what everybody was kind of thinking and looking at. So
I mean,
I'm
I
totally
know how to,
happy with any of it.
I know how to keep the tone serious when it needs to be serious.
Mhm.
That's the big thing, for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely think like going as for me, as long as the game continues to move forward and progress, um, that's really it. I
But
enjoy
you're in the wrong place for that, Nate. We seen that with our first.
eventually.
We seen that with the
Got there.
first jaunt into Middle Earth.
Yeah, well, it's we had little snags, but I think overall, even but as Kevin said, even when we were not necessarily progressing the story, we were still progressing the character.
Mhm.
So I think as long as there's you know stuff like that, I don't think we'll have too much headbutting as far as like people playing around too much or blah 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 whatever it is. Um, I think we generally have a decent mix. We may be a little more goofy than serious at times, but overall, I think we're all comfortable. I mean, we got a prankster in the party, so that's automatically got to give us something to enjoy throughout each session.
And I haven't played a lot with Charlie. I've played one game with Charlie thus far. In that one game, I feel like Charlie's gonna fit in. So I don't think butting heads is gonna be a problem. I
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
especially with
for
if you
sure.
have a session 0, that's one of the questions that I like to hear
Hmm.
ask, or I like
It's
to ask,
important.
just kind of wonder what everyone's expecting going into
Well,
the
yeah,
game.
yeah,
Now,
because I mean,
if I'm getting off task, somebody kind of reel me back in, and I'll knock it off. But
Mhm.
You're in the wrong group to ask that.
well,
There's this-
then we'll just go with what happens.
it's like when you get a substitute teacher. It's just
I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
tell you how many pointless how many story progression wise pointless episodes we had of Curse of Strahd. Now, it doesn't mean that it wasn't fun, and doesn't mean that we didn't have some good character moments, but story wise, we had some just some pointless episodes where
you
we
mean
just went
the
around in
unforgettable?
circles for 4 hours.
You mean
well,
Aryan Lost Holt? Listen, if
Yes.
Aryan Lost Holt hadn't happened, then we wouldn't have gotten Carax's hanging dong.
I mean that was a key moment for
Mhm.
sure.
So
Still
important.
filing a police report on that one.
So glad that moment happened.
I guess it's that's another valid point that I guess I should bring up as well. Um,
No hanging
I
dong
guess
in Lord of the Rings, or
oh yeah, yeah.
No one has a dong.
If
Actually,
it doesn't if
Well,
it doesn't
it's
happen once,
canon.
then yeah, if it doesn't happen once, I'm going to be disappointed. But uh,
Not it.
so yeah, the uh, me myself. I guess Ray, you played in the trilogy, which is like your sort of only experience with me running the game with yourself. Charlie, we've got quite a few weeks under our belts now, so you're getting a good feel of who I am. Uh, Nathan and Nate, I've run a few more games, different games with yourselves. Um, I've definitely come to accept now that I am 100% not DM versus, or in this case, Law Master versus players. Um, my aim is not to kill you. My aim is to tell a story. That doesn't mean I haven't killed characters, right? But my aim is to create, try and create tension, create challenge. But my aim is not to go out of my way to try and kill your characters necessarily. What I want to try and do more than anything is tell a story. Um, with you guys acting out the story. So I have the framework of the story. That's my job. Tell the narrative and the framework of the story, but it's you guys that are going to drive it and act out the story. And that's important because we want to see characters progress. We want to see characters grow. We want to see characters do cool things or have these epic story moments or have these breaks. And I've come to accept that that's the type of character, like game master I am. And again, it is about the story more so. Again, like I said, doesn't mean that you're not going to get shot by an arrow and you're not going to drop to 0 hit points. And it doesn't mean that, if you fail your death saves, you're not going to die. Unfortunately, it does mean that, but I'm certainly not going to go out my way to deliberately just try and kill you outright. My aim is to set a challenge, to make it challenging, to make it feel like a challenge. But I'm certainly not going to go out my way to, try and kill you. But it can happen. Combat can happen. Things can happen. Accidents can happen. So again, that's what I am. I want to tell a story with you lot. So that's my aim. And hopefully tell a better story than Rings of Power.
Damn.
Won't take too much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not worried about your your GMing by any stretch of the imagination. Personally, as far as my characters dying, I don't see me having an issue. If I'm in combat and the dice want me to fade away into the abyss, then that's just what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully it's a great
I'm
story
definitely
moment.
down for it. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it's
I'll
a
try.
great story moment if it happens.
I mean, the only thing I ask, Kevin, is that you try to avoid nearly killing people that are like Lord of the Rings canon. I'm not sure if my heart can handle that. I
Well-
realize I was part of the problem and almost caused that last time. I definitely don't need
You
to be
and me
reminded,
both.
but if we can refrain
well,
from killing established canon characters, that would be great.
well, none of the party here are established canon characters, so you are all free reign.
That's
Uh,
fine.
Now, can canon characters die?
Um,
As long as they're of the shadow, I'm fine with it.
I don't know.
Real
How
canon.
far? How far
I-
are we following the original line here?
But I
Aragorn
would
might take
like-
an arrow to the forehead, and then it's just over.
Yeah, like
Dude, I
even a
played
really
Aragorn
hardcore-
in the original the three shot, the trilogy, and he almost died. Trust me.
Yep.
We've been down this road.
It was all part of his learning experience.
Boy, did he learn.
Yeah, that's why when he went into the underground in the mountain to get the dead, he's already seen them before. He's already fought them. He's like,
Mhm.
come on.
You guys
more people.
again?
I know you down here. Come here. Come here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I can't imagine there's many times there's going to be canon characters put in harm's way. You will certainly be meeting canon characters, and interacting with them. Familiar faces, names, places as well. Yeah, so there will be canon characters out there, but a lot of them won't be centered around the story mostly. Again, this is going to be your story, not the story of the Ring of Power. This is about the lesser rings that were forged. Not the 9, not the 7, not the 3, not the 1. There were many other rings that were forged during the time, and this is the story of those 1, 2 multiples. Yeah. So I think we've managed to get through characters, questions, some mechanics. The setting, um, the places. Um, we have an idea of who we are and what we're doing for the most part. Obviously, you've got some fleshing out to do. What I would probably say is in the bio section on your character sheet, just type something up in there. Um, Again, if you want to look at some of the other character sheets that we have in there, just read some of the bios. You don't have to do as much. You don't have, you can do as more or little as possible. Um, just as a nice record. Um, create your character's story in there and flush out a few things if you wish. Um, Again, you've got some bonds, some flaws, some hopes. Just chuck in some of them. Obviously, they're from your backgrounds mostly, but Charlie asked me if he could create his own, and you know what? As long as they fit the background sort of thing, yeah, I'm happy with that.
I took what was kind of already in the book and just twisted it a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Um, in regards to equipment, um, uh, Nate, you asked about having a club. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, it makes perfect sense. You are level 2. Makes perfect sense for you to have a piece of wood, you know, sort of thing.
That's good. That's good. I was worried about that one.
Yeah, yeah. A piece of dong, yeah. Um, um,
Uh,
yeah, in regards to other mundane equipment, if you go on the compendium on Roll20, you can drag stuff from the item list onto your sheet.
ah.
Um, so if you search club, you'll have like the item section. Click and drag it onto your inventory spot, and you should just move it all across. Um, whatever you think is reasonable. Um, I'm not sure if you've added any silver or bronze, or is it copper? I'm not 100% um, what it is. Right. Um, so, what I want everybody to do, apart from Aurelian, because I think we've already resolved Aurelian's shadow. Um, so, um, if we can have everyone make a corruption save. Now, the corruption saves are in your save section. It is in your save section. I think it's right at the bottom. Corruption. Make a roll for me. Okay, so we've got Maracars.
Ooh, that's what I have to do for this game. I have to get us a roll section so people can see our rolls.
Corruption.
Oof.
Nice. Coming out strong there.
Well, at least Roll20 still likes me.
Yeah. Same as it did before.
Now, that's actually a good question, Nathan. Because I gave you so as a Dunedain, you get your ability score increases. Why is it not on here? I factored into your ability score increases one of your cultural virtues. Um, Now this is a choice that you should make, Nathan. Um, but the cultural virtue I gave you, or I was just factoring in. Come on, book open. Was I think it's sterner than steel, and it is the one that gives you advantage on corruption saves. But again, that is something that you know ultimately that's your choice on what you would like to choose. Um, where is it here? Yeah, so you have Dauntless Guardians, Endurance of the Dunedain, uh, Foresight of the Kindred, Royalty Revealed, and Sterner Than Steel. Um, Sterner Than Steel is you resist shadow corruption better than most, for your spirit is resolute and your mind is not easily overthrown. Raise your wisdom score by 1. You have advantage on wisdom saving throws against corruption.
The owls
Um,
are not what
it's a nice, simple, easy one to add on. That's why I think I chose it. Because that's sort of the only feature. You gain advantage on corruption saves and you get a +1 to your wisdom. But again, if there's any other ones you want to add in, then let me know and we can factor all that around.
Yeah, I think that's okay now, but yeah, we can talk about that between now and
Yep.
and next game and see if we need to adjust it. I'm gonna try to work on some backstory stuff too, and that may lead down a different path.
Yeah, of course. Um, yeah. Let me have a look. Right. So, I want everyone to roll me then a D4, apart from Aurelion.
Oops, too late.
Yeah, yeah, we've already resolved your
Damn
shadow.
you, roll 20.
Or are you not supposed to roll high on this one?
Yeah,
mean, it's-
rolling high is bad on this one.
Either way,
Oh.
either way, I roll 2d20s and I get single digits. I roll a d4 and it's like, here's the max number.
Dude, it's out of 4 options.
How can
It still gives me the max number.
If it gave you a 2 and you rolled a D2, would you be upset?
Yes,
Charlie, do you
because
know
I
how to
never
roll a
roll
D4?
max.
what?
Do you know how to roll a D4?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a toolbar on the left hand side of the screen, right? If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a dice. If you hover over it,
Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is.
yeah.
Mm.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. There.
Okay. Right. So, Marika, have a think about where your 1 point of temporary shadow has accumulated from.
Ooh, interesting.
It's certainly not a lot at all.
Okay.
It could be a shadow of your past that just lingers over you, some regret, some it might be regret over that loved one not making the jump at that time, or the commitment at the time, or it could be anything like that. Um, what were the saves for everyone else? Rook, you passed your save, so you get half of that. So you've gained 2 points of shadow, temporary shadow from that.
Man.
And again, that could easily just be you took part in the Battle of Five Armies. It could be you on a hunt one day come across some spiders, and you saw the remains of the spider, like the spider kills. Um, have a think about what it is. Maybe even tie it into your shadow weakness, which is your
Dragon sickness.
the dragon sickness. So your lust for treasure, shiny things. Maybe you found something shiny and you kept it for yourself rather than telling anyone about it, or it was maybe someone's birthday and you're like, I could give it as someone's birthday, but you know what, I'm going to keep it for myself, my precious, and all that.
Can
Yeah.
Kevin,
I
can you go over real quick what exactly shadow is again?
Yeah, that's brilliant. We haven't really got around to. It's an important thing about the game as
I
well.
mean, if you have it set up for later on, we can do it
No,
when
no,
it kind of comes up. But
no. So, shadow is the influence of evil within Middle Earth. Um, it's referred to as a tangible thing. The shadow is effectively Sauron, um, and the influence. Um, but it's something that weighs on you. It might weigh on you physically, or it might just weigh on your soul. And if you read the stories, if you watch the films, you see this in characters. You said you've watched the Fellowship of the Ring, the first movie, Nathan.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Right. Well, just think of Bilbo. He's in Bag
Hmm.
End, and Gandalf is saying, "Oh, you should. I think you should give it up." And he's like,
Hmm.
"Why should I? Why should I? It's mine. It's mine." And you see the change of expression, and then
Sure,
Gandalf has
sure.
to raise his voice to sort of snapping out of it, and it's that possessiveness that he has. It's
Mm,
Shadow is the, I don't want to say quite evil, but it's that sort of, it's the negative within the
yeah,
world.
yeah. Okay.
You know,
Gotcha.
being over possessive of something. You know,
Hmm.
being for you, it's the curse of vengeance. So
Hmm. Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
where we see this is in film 3, and in book 3 of Lord of the Rings. Um, Basically, a character, Aemir, a family member, he thinks his sister has died, right, on the Pelennor Fields, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, forget it all, everyone, let's ride to death, ride to ruin, a death," and goes riding off, and everyone goes charging off to just kill themselves in battle, sort of thing. And it's
Hmm.
that curse of vengeance where it's the utter ruin of yourself, um,
Gotcha.
over,
Okay.
over
you,
vengeance.
you said you
So
saw you said you saw the first movie, right?
yes,
You know when Frodo reaches Rivendell and Bilbo asks for the ring, how his face changes when he reaches for it.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's the shadow of the ring
Gotcha.
has
That
taken
that's
a hold of
the
him.
that's the shot. Okay.
Right.
So
Things like
having one shadow isn't like, your whole personality isn't changed by that, but it's kind
No,
of the seed that may be planted to kind of grow into something more treacherous.
yeah, that's it. And
I see.
effectively,
Okay.
so what it is, you have temporary shadow,
Hmm.
right? And you can have as much temporary shadow equal to your wisdom score. So if your wisdom score is 12,
Okay.
right,
Hmm.
you can have
Yep.
12 temporary shadow. But
Hmm.
as soon as you get to 13 temporary shadow, you sort of have a mental break, sort of what Aurelian has gone through,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
And an aspect of your shadow weakness will come out.
Ah, okay.
Right. And it might be that you lose control of your character because of this mental break,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And um and you gain 1 point of permanent shadow, and you
Hmm.
cannot remove permanent shadow. There's no way to remove it. So it's there for you. It's there with you forever, right? So then obviously if you accumulate more temporary shadow and you hit that permanent shadow, right? Once you equal your wisdom modifier of permanent
Uh-huh.
shadow, then that is a
Cool.
permanent effect against you. So it's a case of, let's say you make a save, right? Well, it's going to be at -1 because of that shadow, that you're now
Hmm.
over your shadow, and you'll keep having these mental breaks. If you fail something, you have a
Right.
mental break after that point,
Uh-huh.
and you keep having these mental breaks because you're over your shadow limit, permanent shadow
Okay.
limit, effectively. Again,
That
think of Boromir through the first film and how you see it affecting him in
sure,
the
sure.
council of Elrond. He's there talking about oh, it should go to Gondor. It could be used as a weapon against the enemy. We can stand against him, and he has to get snapped out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he puts it up in the snow, and he holds it up, and he's like this, and he's lusting for it. You can see him lusting for it. You can see the effect on him, and then he has to get snapped out of it. And then right at the end, he's like trying to persuade Frodo to take the ring to Minas Tirith, and he's like, "Give it to me!" like that. He's had a mental break, and he loses control,
Mm-hmm.
and then Frodo escapes, and then straight away shame kicks in because he's like, "What have I done? Oh my god!" And he just lost himself for that moment, and he knew
Right.
at that point that he's fucked up effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that
I dig that
journey.
a lot.
Yeah, you see that journey throughout the film. And then likewise, Aragorn is the mirror to Boromir, and you see Aragorn being told about it and being tempted by it constantly, and he resists it, and he overcomes it, and he becomes who he's supposed to be because he resisted that shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the mechanic that the shadow plays on it.
That's really kick-ass.
Yeah, so
I like the mechanic a lot. My question would be, how do you get rid of temporary shadow?
wholesome activities.
Good luck.
We
Good
just all
luck.
hug each other.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not difficult. I mean, it's not easy. And it will take some sort of downtime. So we'll refer back to
Mm-hmm.
Charlie's party in the other game. They've just travelled through Mirkwood for the first time, right? And they've accumulated. Well, Charlie, you probably went from like 4 or 5 shadow, right? And by the end, he was what, 10?
7.
7, right? So what one character literally went from probably 6 to literally almost had a mental break through traveling through Mirkwood. But that's a very intensive shadow corrupted zone, right? And had lots of encounters with things that would corrupt you and would influence you. So if your
Mm-hmm.
character has never fought an orc, for instance, that first time fighting an orc, yes, you've heard of them, right? They're fables, or maybe they're a little bit more real than a fable, but that first time you fighting them, your character's gonna go, "Oh my god, what the hell is that? That's terrifying," sort of thing, and you'll be rolling for
Right.
shadow.
Gotcha.
If you fight, you've said your character's never killed anyone, but
Yeah.
if you fight a bandit, for instance, some highwayman,
Mm-hmm.
and you kill someone, you're going to be rolling for
Right.
shadow.
Yeah, it's a big deal to him. And that
It
was
is.
one thing I was excited to explore with this character as well. Yeah. Oh, that's sick.
Yeah. So, so have a think about where that 1 point has come from.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, you got 2 points of shadow. So again, think about where that's come from.
I got an idea.
And Nathan, where does your 4 points of shadow come from? Yeah.
Mm.
So the scholar one, Ray, is I think it's to do with knowledge, a lust for knowledge and gaining more and more knowledge and almost burying yourself in it. What page does it start from? In the book that you have, let me find the page for shadow.
180.
180. Yeah. Yeah, 180. It's got all the descriptions on it. Now, if I'm going to run it exactly like this, because I'm not 100% on the mechanics of it myself, so it's something that I'm learning and trying to pick up and maybe just go my own route with some of these things. on how it's going to affect you guys, but to have an idea of how it should affect you or what you should be thinking about with shadow, then it's on 180 onwards. You gain personality traits as you go along, and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's shadow.
So as far as the shadow, could that be something that maybe like so for this one point, would that just be maybe something like res I guess not residual would be the term, but like something maybe I'm holding on to from back home. I don't know how long I've been traveling, but maybe it's something along those lines, like I like a regret to a certain
Yeah,
extent of leaving.
that's it. That's it.
Okay, got it.
You have this sort of resentment maybe towards
Hmm.
something, a regret
Sure.
towards something, or you've already described the fact as you're quiet because of this one point of shadow.
Hmm.
You've been you
Okay.
know beaten a few times, and you've sort of been cowed a little bit by your family, and you've learned that by being quiet, or more hiding in the background as much.
Hmm.
Well,
Okay.
that could literally be where your shadow is. But again, like, feel free to explore however that
Yeah,
looks.
yeah. I'm digging it, and I'm low key excited to get more shadow.
Yeah. Um, Nathan, it could literally be, you fought some orcs, you fought some wargs, you know,
Hmm.
um, you actually have been to a tomb, um, and you've been in there, and you've seen the sort of destruction of it. It could be something to do with, it could be maybe a lack of hope. You've seen the ruins of the old kingdom once or twice now, and there's
Um,
no hope in restoring it.
I was actually going to ask about something on those lines. If you were cool with having it be something along the lines of, I've found some connection to this old lore that I'm looking for, but everything that I've found thus far, well, the stuff that I found recently that's led up to the shadow has either been like destroyed to the point where you can recognize that it's from, like, it's what I'm looking for, but it's in such disarray that it's useless, like, other than saying, hey, I can tell enough to know this is from the old lore, but I have no, like, I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know what it's from. I can only tell enough that it connects, and that's it. And or simply that I found ruins. I like that idea that I've seen
Yeah,
ruins, and it's so ruined that it's
Mm.
it's the, like you said, I'm losing hope at the moment.
yeah. You might have found remnants of, like, an old tapestry, um, of maybe your lineage. You know, uh, you was told of, oh, our family, like, uh, a millennia ago, had, we were from Cardalan, um, before it fell, and you know the ruins of the old manor that we had there as our family still stands. You can still see it, and your father's told you this, and, oh, well, I've visited it several times and stood amongst the ruins and tried to picture what it looked like. And the first chance you actually had of traveling, that's where you went to. You went straight there, and you looked around the ruins, and, um, you found a vault, being a little bit more inquisitive than your father was. You found, like, a basement of some sort, um, which you know as a safe place, as a sanctuary on for a long rest, because that's one of your features. It's basically you're traveling and you can go, oh, I know these lands, and I know a place where we can have a, a, a rest and not be disturbed. Um, so it's a case of you found this basement, and in there you found, a burnt tapestry of your family lineage going back to Numenor, but it's so destroyed that there's no way of recovering it. Something like that, maybe.
I like that.
Um, have we got any more questions? Ray, we haven't got round to yourself much recently, so have you got anything you would wish to ask or add?
No, I think I'm doing pretty good.
Okay. Um, so we're going to be starting off. I think session 1 is next week.
Yeah.
I think I like the title. Nathan, could be the long and winding road. Um, we're going to be starting off with Aurelian and Rook traveling the road from um, Rivendell west. Um, Aurelian, you have been doing as much research as possible in the libraries of Rivendell, speaking to sources there as much as possible. You've been sending letters backward and forwards to those that remain in Linden and the Grey Havens on the coast, the other side of the Shire, in the west. Um, just trying to scrounge as much information. You've also um, been requesting aid of the Rangers, the Dunedain, in trying to search for associates of this dwarf that you found um, in the ruin of yeah.
Can I just say that you told us what happened? Can you tell like the audience what had happened after we finished up the 3 shots?
Right, I wasn't sure if I did that on stream or not.
Yeah, we need to go because
Yeah,
Nathan was being lame.
yeah, it was super late. Yeah, so the just to recap then, they got to the ruins of Austin Ethel, which is the city in a region of the elves. Its ruins. There they found Iwiel, Aurelian's sister, unconscious. Um, However, they saw that she was being assaulted by some sort of spirit of some sort and got into combat with it. Um, they dragged Iriel out of the the ruined the ring of stones where the ruined tower was. And as soon as Aurelian touched his sister, he also went unconscious. Aurelian waking to find himself in the past, memories that maybe weren't his own as such, but he remembers being there and even saw himself there. The memories led him to the incident where he found that it was his uncle who effectively opened the gates and made a deal with Sauron, leading to the destruction of Austin Ethel, ultimately, as her uncle betrayed um, the elves. Um, Bear in mind that the elves at this time were made up of 2 or 3 different factions. You had the Noldor, who Aurelian certainly um, identified with a lot more, and then you have the Sindar, who later become the Wood Elves. And Aurelian was of both worlds, mother and father. And it was on the uncle on his mother's side that betrayed the city um, and its ultimate destruction. And Aurelian found this out. After waking and driving off the spirits, Halbrand and Aragorn were were battling with on one side of this dream and Aurelian on the other side of it. Um, After driving it off, they explored the nearby region with Vili, and with his aid, found a secret door. Vili was hoping to find the ancient art of stone cutting, um, to allow doors such as these to be made again. Um, but he found that the secret was already discovered by somebody else at this time, for he found the corpse of a rival of his, of Vili's, um, dead in here, seemingly betrayed. Aurelian found that the ring was placed in here, um, and evidence of it was in this, um, vault, shall we say. Um, but whoever Vili's associate was associated with has apparently taken it. Who knows who? Who knows where? Um, so that is where we got to at the end of the story, with knowing that Vili's, nemesis, I guess, rival, had got here first, but had been betrayed, um, followed by the fact that the ring was placed in here and also looked like it has been taken, um, by these associates. Um, and that's where we got to with it. Um, so I can imagine Aurelian has been scouring for information as much as possible. And perhaps you've maybe now got yourself a lead on that, and it is leading you to the settlement of Bree. You know that Bree landers don't see many elves. You're usually quite secretive. Um, you know, humans, apart from the Dunedain, won't see many elves usually. Um, and with your cousin from East here now, seeking adventure, promising to be your, chaperone as such on this adventure. You
Shoo, she'd be my chaperone.
you have you have headed out of Rivendell on your journey west to try and seek for yourself more information, um, on this lead. Um, Perhaps you will look for aid again from Halbarad, um, on the way, knowing that, you will have to pass by the secret land of the Dunedain. Um, and that's where we will pick up next week with the two of you on the road. Um, maybe looking to seek out Halbarad on the way. Um, Marikar, you have come from the land, on the east side of of the Misty Mountains, from your homeland, maybe the Woodmen as well, and that region.
Hmm.
And you have decided to cross the mountains for the first time. You've taken the leap, you've taken the plunge as such, and you've joined a merchant caravan heading west. Um, they're connected to some strange land called the Shire,
Hmm.
um, and there's a group that are heading that way. Um, you've crossed the mountains, with, little peril. Um, was it luck or chance or who knows? But your group got across, and you passed through strange lands, um, but very quiet, and empty. Not seeing a soul, not seeing a village, not seeing anything as you travelled. What looks like a road that is a road. Um, you can see that there are cobblestones that used to be here. Think of a Roman road and how you can still
Hmm.
see remnants of it. Um, and it's, for the most part straight as an arrow. What you can see, you've been traveling on it. You've not seen any. You don't see anything like this from where you're from. Um,
Yeah, so that's weird to me.
yeah, you'll see tracks from where you're from. Um, common trails with where carts have made ruts, but an actual made road is maybe like
Hmm.
why would someone make a road? It would seem
And not
very,
keep it up.
yeah, and maybe
Mhm.
really strange to you. Um, you've seen shadows on the hills, on the high points of ruins. Um, perched on the side of cliffs. Um, um, hidden here and there, all ruined. But even what you can see, the engineering of it again is sort of wondrous and mind blowing
Hmm.
almost. To think that,
Foreign.
to think that people can build stone structures like that and so high up. Um, think of how like Stonehenge or something might have been
Right.
built, although or the pyramid. You know, like we look back now and go, how did someone back then without any mechanical equipment
Hmm.
um, build the pyramids? And you're looking at these, the remnants of these stone structures. Um, every so often, it's like, how the hell was that built?
Right.
Um,
And why is it not still standing? Like what
yeah,
happened, kind of feel? Yeah, no, I
yeah.
dig that.
And where is everyone? There's like no villages, no nothing.
Right.
Um, you've not seen hide or hair of anyone. Um, apart from actually um, one person. Um, you're probably quite tall, right? You imagine your
Yeah,
character.
yeah, he's a big bitch.
Yeah, how tall do you reckon he is?
Um, like I guess not uh awkwardly huge, but like a formidable presence. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like he generally, I picture him as just coming from a good hearty stock of farmers that have bred him down to be just this massive work machine.
yeah. So what you thinking, like 6'4"?
I mean, anything over 5'5" is big to me. So if 6'4" is what a tall person is, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
yeah,
No,
6'4"
I'd
sounds
probably say
sounds good.
yeah, yeah. 6'4",
Not
stocky
not
build.
not quite Shaq level, but yeah.
Yeah. You probably would have seen then someone that's as tall as you. Um, Nathan, how tall would you imagine um, your character being? The Dunedain are tall. The shortest Dunedain is probably 6 foot.
Oh wow.
Elendil the tall. Elendil, um, not the Rings of Power Elendil, but Elendil was probably close to 8 feet tall. He was tall. He was called Elendil the Tall, so he was tall for tall people. Um, I think Aragorn is supposed to be something like 6'7", um, something like that. And Halbarad, his name literally means tall tower. Um, so how tall would you imagine Damrod being?
I was thinking like 5'5", somewhere in there. No,
That's a perfectly reasonable height. Okay,
5'5",
there's
but
nothing
he's got a
wrong with
glass
that.
of water on his head, so he's tall for Nathan.
hey, I'm tall for a short person. Uh, I would probably say like probably 6 foot, somewhere around there.
Okay. Yeah,
If it,
then
Give or
Look.
take a couple inches.
if it gives you any context, I am a spindly nerd and I'm 6'2" for some reason.
you are super spindly now.
You're
Jesus Christ,
actually
Ray.
Slender Man.
I don't think I did that. I think that was Kevin, but I'm rolling with it.
What did what?
I don't know. It says I'm 6'2" on my character sheet, but I don't know how that happens.
Oh, I don't know. I saw your strength score has gone down to 6.
I think it might have.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me check.
Aurelian's like, I'm super tall. I
Oh,
can reach.
it's
I can
6.
reach the shelves, but I can't pick anything up on them.
The noodle arms, spaghetti arms.
It is 6, in case you were wondering.
Yeah. That's a 6. Just hope you don't run up against anything that's like drains your strength, eh?
Oh yeah. Make sure you don't run in the opposite direction of the wind, because that'll knock you over.
Or let's just hope you don't get carried off by anyone.
Again.
Again.
Well, an
Get yourself
NPC
in that.
in the other game has just been carried off by orcs into the woods.
So you guys are protecting me, is what I'm hearing.
Apparently,
Okay,
okay,
man.
apparently I'm escorting you, so I will be helping you.
we'll do the same thing we did with Orden and rescue Aurelion every time he sets off a trap.
But this time I have the healing to back it up.
Yeah, there we go.
Didn't you have healing last time? Curse of Strahd.
Yeah. So yeah, the caravan probably a few days ago probably came across a pretty tall fellow in green hood and cape, water, looks very weather worn and road worn, just out on his own, um, probably traveling in the same direction, or maybe snuck up on the group even and introduced himself. I don't know. What would have Damrod, do you reckon, have done to introduce?
Who snuck up on us?
No, I was saying that, like, you
You
would have
snuck
come
up on
across
it?
this caravan. Yeah, you would have probably come across this traveling caravan going from east to west. Um, would you have stalked it quietly, or would you have introduced yourself?
I think that. What's the terrain? What would be the terrain like where we're at? Is it just like open fields?
Let me bring up.
Are we in any kind of like semi-dangerous area? I mean, that would shape what I would be doing at this point.
Tharbad, Barrow Downs, Arabian, North Downs, Troll Shores. Have to be the Troll Shores one. Okay, yeah, I'll transfer you to this map. Troll Shores. Here you go. I've transferred you onto the map where you would have been. So you can see that there is a road cutting through the forested region. Rivendell is clearly marked on this map, but Rivendell is a hidden valley that not many know how to enter. Yourself, Nathan, Damrod wouldn't know how to enter. Only sort of the selected hidden ones, chosen ones by the Dunedain, would have the knowledge of how to enter Rivendell. The elves obviously know how to enter and leave, whatnot. But this is probably where you would have picked them up. Now, the region where that says the angle to the south of the road there, that is what is left of your homeland, Damrod. I say your homeland. It's not your homeland, but after Arnor, the kingdom of Arnor was destroyed, and Arthur Dane, the last surviving um, kingdom, basically was wiped out. Your people retreated. You became a wandering people, and you sort of hid yourself in that area called the Angle. Um, it has like hills and um, broken land along the road to the south, um, and that almost acts as a barrier with the fast flowing rivers, creating this spear tip, I guess, arrowhead. And your people are basically scattered across that land. Um, and it's hidden and it's protected and it's guarded by the Dunedain. And nobody knows about it apart from the fellow Dunedain, and maybe some of the elves. Um, but it's a secret land that you don't let anyone enter or know about. But because basically the last remnants of the Dunedain are there, and your families.
I think then
Yeah,
if they're heading like that direction, I think I would kind of stick back and see if I can find out, kind of who they are or what they're up to before just walking up and introducing myself.
yeah. Again, they're traveling east to west, um, and uh, you probably stalk them, and you probably even stalk them with some other fellow rangers, Dunedain, who act as sort of march wardens along that hilly front. Hidden sanctuaries and hidden fortresses, almost maybe not made out of stone, but dug into the cliffs, trenches and stuff like that, so to not allow anyone through. Um, and so yeah, you probably would have met them somewhere along that road there, crossed over the last bridge, and headed into the next land, eh, which would be North Downs, maybe. Almost. Not that one. Cold Fells. Etamors. Arabian. South Downs. Yeah, it's gonna be this one. It's gotta be this one. Nope, this isn't even that one. Yeah. Pretty much anyway. The road would be cold hills, um, dales, flatland mostly, both sides of the river, scattered trees here and there.
And
Um,
I think I would just
that
kind
would
of
be great.
watch them for a while and see, just kind of trying to get a like an idea of what they're looking for or what they're doing passing through this area. If they don't show any interest in the angle, then I'm not. I have less concern, that they might be ill will. And at that point, I might approach and introduce myself.
Yeah. Um, yeah. You certainly could introduce yourself to the caravan. Um, Again, Marikar, you would see this sometime. Uh, Nate, Nathan, yeah, Nathan, give me a D8. Let's see what the weather is like at this time. It's spring, at the start of spring, and it is a glorious spring day.
Glorious spring day. Love it.
Birds are singing, chirping. See a butterfly here and there. Bees are waking up.
What do I see from the caravan?
You see that it's probably got probably 3 pack horses. No, probably 2 pack horses. Um, you see some, short men and women, probably 5 or 6 of them. One would probably stand out to you, however, um, being a little bit taller, fair haired, very broad. Certainly not someone that looks like a Breelander. Someone that's from Bree.
I think at the point where I kind of, I mean, I'm assuming they're not looking for the angle, but if I get that feeling, the point when I realize that they're just kind of passing through, um, I would probably approach and greet them. You know, probably not stepping out of the woods and kind of just stepping in front of them and onto the path, but maybe trying to like travel overland and get ahead of them a bit and head back, kind of double back towards them on the road and
Yeah.
approach kind of as a traveler, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Um, how about then? Let's get everybody making just one lot of rolls. Um, Nathan, give me a survival roll. Um, give me a uh, insight, and maybe just give me a charisma save. Nice. Okay. Yeah. They obviously they see you approaching, and even though you look weather worn and weather beaten and road weary, um, you don't look disheveled as such. You're holding yourself together pretty well, um, and you approach in a good manner, a friendly manner with a friendly posture, and you can easily introduce yourself to, the people leading this group. Would you say Marikar's probably at the back?
Yeah, yeah, more than likely he'd be pulling up the rear, um, looking back behind him every once in a while, back towards those mountains, kind of questioning if he's made the right decision or not. Kind of in his feels that way.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and again, you'd see this weather-worn traveller approach quite confidently, quite friendly. However,
Mhm.
um, Nathan, you'd probably see them a little bit nervous on your approach, but just by how you approach them, they seem to settle down um, a little bit, maybe even recognizing one of your peoples. Oh, one of them rangers they are.
Hail and well met.
Hail, you one of them rangers?
I guess you could say that.
You always travel out this far?
I travel where fate takes me. What brings
Mysterious
you
they
out?
are. Oh, we're on our way back from out east. Been doing some trading with them across the mountains.
Ah, who with?
Oh, the Bjornings and the wood folk tried to get across to that dale, but the woods out there are dangerous, they say. So we didn't risk it.
Ah, you don't seem to have run into any danger at the very least.
Oh, the mountains are quiet. We're heading back home now, we are. Back to Bree. To Chet, in fact.
Ah, Bree. Yes. Fond memories. I've always wanted to go back.
Oh, well. Have the roads been quiet? You know,
Have they?
um, eh, give me. Um,
And so it begins.
yeah. Uh, give me a history check.
Okay. I'm not used to using my character sheet to roll, so I keep closing it.
Yeah, the best thing to do is just double tap it and it minimizes.
Yeah, I just keep forgetting to do that.
Um,
17.
yeah, 17. You've recently heard of some of the rangers, your fellow rangers who have returned home recently. Have said that they've heard of um, groups of men preying on some travellers, but that's further south on the road to Farbad rather than out this side. But yeah, activity seems to have increased a little bit, maybe.
I would just kind of relay that, but almost in a way that shows that I'm just mildly concerned about it. Not no trying not to worry about trying not to worry them about it.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Give me a persuasion check. See how well you do with that. Okay. Marika, want to give me a perception check? A
Perception.
Yeah, give me perception. Give me an insight, um, and give me a intelligence save.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's what you
Uh,
got for me.
yeah. However, this traveler on the road is putting across the information. You 100% believe it. Um, Again, you spot quite a few of these ruins here and there, um,
Hmm.
and you recall like tales that have been spoke about of the high men of the West, um, and how they built like towers of stone and they shaped the stone itself. Uh, that you can't quite remember the names of them, but you just call them the High Men. Um, but
Hmm.
they've been gone for years if they ever existed in the first place. But again, like you probably didn't believe that they existed
Hmm.
until you start looking at these like structures.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Um, yeah, Marikar, as this ranger would start walking up, when he introduced himself, Marikar would just kind of give him a head nod and a quiet wave. Um, but he hasn't, as far as he's concerned, he's got no reason to not believe what he's saying. Um, and he he might even say kind of quietly uh, to the other people in the caravan, uh, wouldn't help to have one more traveling with us if he's heading that way.
Does Marikar whisper, and does he have this sinister smile?
He does not. No, he does not whisper with a sinister smile. Not yet, at least. We'll see what happens. But he just doesn't project his voice that much. Is kind of his thing.
What do my human ears hear?
uh, yeah, whatever you want to hear.
Um, if I can hear him kind of whispering this, I would, uh, I would say, I did say that I'd like to visit Bree again. If you're headed that way, maybe we could travel together. same road may be kind to all of us together.
Yeah,
Marikar just kind of gives you a nod.
yeah. Damrod would know that it effectively it's like your duty, or it's sort of the life of the Rangers to basically patrol the old kingdom, what's left of it, and just keep it safe for people. You don't have a kingdom anymore, but it's almost your sense of purpose to defend the old kingdom. Um, travelers on the road, they might not want it, they might not accept it usually. They might be suspicious of you, not understanding, but and they'll probably think of you as dangerous folk. But like that doesn't matter because they don't need to know as long as they're safe, sort of thing. So you joining this caravan would be a perfectly reasonable thing for like some of you to do if they wanted it.
I think that uh, Damrod is used to having people tell him no or be kind of off put by him trying to be a quote unquote escort and try to make them safe. Just approaching random strangers on the road for that. So I think that's why he kind of takes this tact of just saying that he's wanting to visit Bree again, that he has fond memories there and wants to visit, and just trying to like he's already told them that he's a ranger, but he's trying to establish that he wants to go this direction anyways. That it's not simply, oh hey, I'm going to escort you
Mhm.
guys because it's not safe.
And that could be a bit suspicious to them if you're saying, "Oh, I want to join you," sort of thing. So you left it for
Yeah.
them to make the decision. Yeah. Yeah, and they would accept that, and you travel on, and you come to a bridge, and you cross the bridge. Damrod, this is the last bridge, and you cross into the wild open lands of Arnor now. Um, Aurelian, and we'll just finish up with catching up with Aurelian and Rook. Um, you were traveling the road. You've recently just left um, Rivendell. I imagine you've both got horses, and you've been riding the road, um, traveling nice and easy. Um, yeah, anything that you'd be talking about? Do you explain to Rook your destination and what your plan is?
Yeah, I believe that I'd probably give him some information, but I don't want to overload him too much. So I just give him the barest bit of information about where we're going.
Okay. What would Rook ask Aurelian about these things? Um, she's probably mentioned that that you're off to a Manish settlement. Um, you yourself have probably had more interactions with men because of the closeness of the Wood Elves and the Lakemen than probably Aurelian has done. So this is probably not too unfamiliar to you, to be fair.
Uh, I would be expressing my excitement for being outside of Elven lands without some sort of escort or without somebody other than Aurelion. I would try to talk to him and try to figure out, where he's at mentally now, being back on the road, back having an overall point where he's at mentally, and then I would try to help him in any way I could.
He's definitely a lot more skittish. Like you could tell something was wrong when he was in Revendell, but especially now that you're out in the open, he used to be so proud of just walking around as an elf, but now he's got his hood drawn over his ears and he's constantly like glancing over his shoulders, just taking in the surroundings, not really like occasionally you catch like you'll say something to him and he just kind of just nods, like clearly not paying attention.
Is he more skittish? Would you say?
Oh, definitely. Um, a nervous tick that he used to have is that he would like kind of rub at his robes, like the sleeves on his robes when he was nervous. And if you look now, it's just tattered from all all of his like nervous picking. So he's definitely not carrying himself with the elegance that he used to have.
Okay.
Short, choppy hair where he used to have like really long and beautiful hair.
Hmm. Um, how about um, how about you give me um, perception checks? Um, yeah, start off with perception checks, both.
Wait a second.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you maybe between the two of you, between Rook trying to um, distract you, and maybe always talking. Um, like he's always talking, he's always pointing out maybe new trees, new plants, new animals, new sounds, new smells. You know, he
And
wants to
really
try new.
like, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah, that's it. Um, and it's almost distracting you all the time. Maybe you're getting tired from the journey already. Um, when you reach the last bridge, and the last bridge is in sight, and maybe you go to spur your horse, um, but as you go to spur your horse to get across the bridge, um, a tree falls from the side of the road across the road, branches and all. It doesn't look like it's been uprooted recently. It almost looks like it's been maybe this has been done before and used almost as like a barricade. Um, but whatever it would be that did this would be pretty big, pretty strong. Why don't you give me a shadow law, both of you if you wish.
So not great.
No.
Yeah, yeah. You have no idea what might have just made this tree, this cut down, broken down tree, sort of just fall from the side all of a sudden and just block the road in front of you.
Can I
Uh,
maybe look at it and see if there's like axe marks or if it broke on its own or
uh, yeah. Give me a perception check, quick. Uh, yeah, you see that it's probably been sort of. It looks like it's been hit by maybe lightning and split, but then it's just been like tore off. So it's been partially like it's been partially done by a natural cause, but something's just come along and just removed it. Maybe someone's wrapped chains around it and pulled it over, or maybe something else. Um, however, from behind you on the road, um, you hear, I got you now. I got some nice tasty food. And you look back and it's a large troll, right? Um,
I would have turned around with the arrow already locked.
okay. Um,
Itself.
yeah. Uh, and it just starts barreling towards you to grab your horses. They're a little bit trapped and hemmed in between it and the tree and the slopes of the road either side at this moment in time. Give me animal handling checks.
Right.
Nailed it.
19.
Yeah, okay. You're able to maneuver your horses as It seems like a female troll, maybe. Who knows? Comes just like barreling like this to try and grab your horses, and you're able to like divert them out the way. Um, yeah, and you're able to maneuver them out the way. What would you like to do?
Well, you mentioned that you wanted to shoot it with an arrow.
Yeah, kind of do.
Yeah, you can shoot it with an arrow if you want.
Give me a second to figure out what to do.
At first, I'd be wide-eyed, like, "What the hell is this?" And then let it rip. Ah.
Yeah, the sun has just begun to set. You was probably hoping to get across the bridge before the sun completely went. Yeah, you hit it. It kind of ricochets off the dome of its head, and this troll, female troll, you guess, goes, "Oh, that kind of hurt," and she turns and she tries to grab you and your horse. Give me another animal handling.
Is she trying to grab Rook?
Yeah, and the horse.
Okay.
Not bad. 16.
Yeah, again, you're able to maneuver the horse out of the way. Yeah, what would you like to do?
As I maneuver the horse that way, I'd probably turn and let another arrow go.
Yeah,
Probably
Make another
aiming for like the back of the neck or somewhere.
yeah.
If I'm able to, I'll shoot an arrow also.
Nailed it. That's a nat 20.
Unfortunately, it is not a nat 20.
It says it on the screen.
It says, yeah, it says 20, but it's 20 plus 5, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, got it. But whatever.
Yeah.
Dirty 20.
Yeah, it comes up. Yeah, you got a natural 1 on one of them. 13. It sort of hits the hide, but it doesn't seem to penetrate yours, Aurelian. You stick it with an arrow in the back of the neck, but again, the back of its hide seems rather thick, and it just sort of sticks in there. From you, Rook. What would you like to try and do as it turns and tries to go after, I guess, Aurelian's horse this time? Give me an animal handling check.
Okay.
Yeah, you're able to outmaneuver this troll.
If she's getting close to me, then I will pull out my scimitar and try to slash at her.
Yeah, you can do.
Dirty 20.
30-20, that's a hit. Nice cut across maybe the forearm or something. What would you like to do?
Is she still close?
Yeah, yeah.
Charlie, are you doing anything?
I would probably be watching this unfold because it's only happening in seconds, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I
I would-
will.
Right after the troll trying to get at her.
I will go ahead and try to.
Sorry.
You're fine. I'll go ahead and try to slash at it again with my scimitar.
Yeah.
Oh, after I do that, I will move back a little bit so it can't get at my horse again.
Okay. With your attempt at slashing, it will try and grab your horse. Do you want to give me another animal handling?
Sure. Well, I had to go wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
Do we have inspiration yet?
You do all start with 1 point of inspiration. You're allowed to collect up to 3.
Okay, I will. Do I re-roll or does it like?
Yeah,
do
you
I
can
use-
reroll.
Okay. 14.
14.
Any better?
No.
I mean, it's
Just-
definitely better than a 4. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
better enough.
15 would be the success.
I will say
yeah.
I didn't use any of my inspiration from the trilogy. Can I use that, or is that gone? It has been 70 years.
It has been like 60 odd years. Yeah, you
I
use
still
it all
feel
trying.
inspired.
I'm sure Thingy said something to me once. What was Maglor? I'm sure Maglor said something inspiring to me once. What was it? What was it? Yeah, no. Unfortunately, this troll grabs a hold of your horse by the head, like this, and is about to try and pick it up, like put its arm underneath its belly and try and pick it up. Give me, give me a dexterity save. I'll be
Okay.
kind. See if you can stay on the horse.
22.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you can stay on the horse. You're in control. Obviously, you can stay on the horse or get off the horse. It's entirely up to you, but it's got a hold of it. It's going to try and pick it up and carry it away.
I'm going to try to use my scimitar again to slash at its hand to get it to let go.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that's what a nat 20 looks like.
That's what a nat 20 looks like. Yeah, you give it a good slash across the back of the hand, and it kind of it lets go of the head. It's like, oh, 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 and like I haven't got a character sheet for it because it was just story wise. So it's gonna take like it's gonna maybe throw the horse. So like drop the horse down onto the floor and push it off because you've got a nasty elf on the back of it. So again, give me another dexterity save. What's Rook up to?
As it grabs her horse, his horse. I'm sorry. I see you, and I think
It's fine. That happened all the time in Curse of Strahd. You're
Every
fine.
episode.
I just want. I will do my best. As he's going towards Aurelion, I'd ride my sword behind, and out. Is it still a free action to switch weapons?
Yeah. Again, we're not really in initiative combat, so
Switch out the bow and pull out the spear, and I would run. Maybe stand up on top of my horse when I get close enough to leap off, and drive my spear in the back.
yeah, you can try that.
Spear, and I have two hands, so
Give me.
Ooh, nice.
See, that's what a nat 20 looks like. Yeah. What's that? That's a big hit. What's 13 plus 7 is 20. You've certainly hacked into it enough that you get into, whereabouts do you get it? You get it from behind, yes.
I was aiming straight for the spine. Try to incapacitate it.
Yeah, like it maybe twists a little bit, and you get it in a softer part, like under the armpit.
Twist it a little more.
Yeah, and it's dropped the horse, and it turns, and you've sort of almost lanced it through the side, and she pulls off, and she stumbles away. Nasty elves! And this troll is just going to sort of begin to run, lumber, scramble up the sort of side of the path, trying to get away.
I look at Aurelion and I hold my spear. I'm gonna throw it. Do I throw it?
Honestly, you'd be doing her a mercy, I'd say.
Yeet it.
Right.
I'm guessing, would it still be two hands or one?
It will be one-handed.
Nailed it.
Oh wow!
Jeez.
Stop running.
You throw the spear, and it sticks into the hamstring of the. Yeah, it's like right in the back of the leg, in the hamstring. It took a spear to the knee. Will not be an adventure anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Can I run up and retrieve my spear?
You cannot, because she's still running. Well, yeah, you're gonna have to give me an athletics check because she's got up the bank and she's running away with your spear.
Oh well.
They're like hobbling away with your spear. Is that another 20?
With the 22.
Why are you running?
What is
What are
happening?
What are
No.
you running? You know what?
I don't know.
Charlie's got all of Nathan's roles.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
gonna let
look,
Charlie
like,
play all the characters.
look
No,
between,
I don't want to.
between the 5 rolls that we made, there was a nat 20 on all of them.
You're right.
You know
It's
who
really
didn't? You know who hasn't gotten a nat 20 yet tonight? Me or Nate.
And Kevin.
We're just laying waste to a troll.
This
Yeah.
is look. This is the elf magic. You don't understand because you're not an elf.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are able to jump off the back of your horse, like, and land nimbly on the top of this bank, right? As she's like scrambling and crawling away, hobbling away, and you can reach out and grab your spear and pull it out of the back of her leg.
Aurelian's kind of just sitting on the back of his horse, kind of just awestruck, and he's like, "When did you learn to do all that?"
Legolas. And I decided not to throw it again. I was like, I done my damage. I put it away.
Oh, is the thing dead?
No,
man.
it's still running away.
Aurelia, your turn.
Okay, I'll shoot it if it's still here.
Yes.
It's up a little bit, and it's crested a bank. So give it a go. It will have some cover.
Okay, that is not. It's a 20.
You
Look
shoot,
at that
and
elf
you're trying
magic.
to you shoot, and you loose your arrow, and you're trying to track it as it's just disappearing. And as you loose the arrow, it fires into the bank right by Rook's feet, and he like looks down as it almost like skewered his foot.
The troll. I point and yell, the troll, not me.
Oh, like Legolas could have done that. And I will just go get my arrow.
Give me a medicine check for me.
Okay. 17.
It looks like your horse has got an injured leg.
How's yours looking? And I will bend down and start trying to wrap that up a little bit.
I would look back at my horse. I assume he's still okay.
Yeah, a little bit skittish, but
I
some soothing elven words would help.
would say in Elven, please come to me, my dear horse.
Just give me another medicine check, Ray.
Okay.
You're maybe a little bit better with healing humans or, well, people than animals.
I could walk up and give it a shot.
Yeah, you can try if you want.
Let's double mine.
Yeah.
How do you have a better medicine score than me? Oh my gosh.
Expertise.
You taught me.
Yeah. While you've been looking in books, he's actually been practicing.
He studied the blade.
It looks like the horse isn't going to be able to walk for a bit. It might even be lame on that leg now.
About how far away are we from civilization?
Probably like 3 weeks.
Oh, perfect.
Unless you turn back, of course. If you turn back.
No.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Well, the way is going to be a little bit slower, but the destination is just ahead.
What would you like to do with your horse?
I will get down beside it and like walk with it because I imagine putting my weight on it's probably not going to make it any better.
Okay. Yeah. You see, it's very difficult for it to walk. You can bypass the the barricade that's been tossed down, and cross the bridge. Yeah, and we will leave it there for tonight and pick up next week.
Nice.
Anyone got any questions?
Nope. I'm good.
Okay, excellent. Right. How was that for a session 0? Like I said, I've never really run a session 0 where everyone's got together and we've spoke about things, but I thought, for the benefit of the stream, it might be a good thing to have on record as well, so we can get into the story next week and get going.
I like it. I want to do something like this whenever everybody starts getting character stuff ready, and I get some stuff ready for the sequel to Curse of Strahd that we're loosely calling Curse of Iris right now. I don't know if that's going to be the actual title, but once we get some stuff going, I would like to do a session 0 kind of like this to set that up. I think it sets the tone for the game. It gets all the players on the same page. We can ask some of our questions now and have a start the first session kind of running, so to speak.
Yeah, Nate, you are muted, by the way. So
Curse of Iris just isn't.
Oh, there we go.
It's Curse of Strahd.
No, I like the session 0. I think it's underutilized for a lot of games, especially if you're planning on having kind of more than just a one shot or something. It's so important for everyone to get together that day one and ask what you need to ask, get an idea of what everyone's expecting. Because, and like you mentioned, especially for the stream, we'd like to all be kind of relatively, at very least in the same book, if not in the same chapter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was run perfectly.
Okay, that's cool. Again, I've never really run one like this before, because usually you just do everything via chat, via text, and everything like that. But
No, you did good.
yeah, I think it's a nice thing to have on record, ready for next week, and it's going to be bi-weekly, I believe, so every other week. Starting next week.
We're doing one next week, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think the session 1's next week. But I think Charlie, you have a game tonight, is it, with Baron?
It was supposed to be, but 2 people kind of kicked out on us, so we're just going to do it 2 weeks from today.
Right. Okay. No worries. And obviously, Charlie, I'll see you tomorrow as well.
I like this. I like the session 0 because things kind of come together a little more organically versus trying to force it. And for somebody who's never seen the movies, for example, it's a really, really good thing to have because he doesn't quite understand all the things that we understand. So I think session 0, he can kind of zero in on where he's at.
Yeah, a lot of things are assumed. Like, oh yeah, everyone just knows Brie. It's like, I don't know, like the cheese. I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm excited to play this game, even though I don't know Lord of the Rings. But as we've discussed, I don't need to know Lord of the Rings.
Not really.
So
not for this kind of game.
No. So I'm really excited to get into the world and experience whatever Middle Earth is.
Listen, we're all gonna run into whatchamacallit. We're gonna run into Pippin, and we're all gonna freak out, and Nate's not gonna know what we're talking about.
Yeah, Pippin. What? I love Pippin.
The other group,
yummy stuff. Pippin is. I tell you, I could eat Pippin all day.
The other group actually ran into Gollum.
Oh, really? Okay, we have to. We have to for Cammy.
We got to run into Gollum at some point.
I'm gonna need a heads up on that one so I can get everyone prepared.
The difficult thing is you're wrong side of the mountains. He never comes this side of the mountains, unfortunately. So
here's the thing, Kevin. You're riding the game. Maybe he followed a fish this way.
I know. But look what happened, right? When people don't follow Tolkien's story, you get the Rings of Power.
Damn.
Are you saying
Who is Sauron? Is it freaking?
There's too
Is
much
it the
hatred
old-
in this group.
Is it the old man that fell from the sky? Is it freaking Hellbrand?
No,
Who is
no.
it?
Spoilers.
Marikar is Sauron.
Yeah, Sauron.
Bad guy.
Aurelian. Is
Oh no!
Sauron.
No! Sauron's the eye dude.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
The big old
Oh,
eye. I
well.
knew that one.
He's
Just
there.
took him a minute.
He just can't really form a physical body until he gets the ring back.
Literally, make me Sauron. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, but
Listen.
Sauron then doesn't have a dong to hang out, so
No,
He is the
Sauron
dong. He
employs-
is the dong.
Sauron
The
shows
tower.
up and he's like,
Yeah.
"Hey guys,
The
I made these
tower.
rings, but I don't know why. I don't know the
The
lore
tower.
here.
the tower is the dong.
I think you downloaded the wrong Lord of the Rings, Ray."
he really
Oh,
wanted
did
the
I?
he really wanted the Nazgul and the Fell Beast to be geese, but just couldn't find enough geese.
The fell beast. More
I
like the
said
fell
my foul geese, not foul beasts.
That's great.
This is what you've gotten yourself into, Charlie. We're showing our true colors now.
I am
Yeah.
fine with that.
Yeah,
I am 100% Gucci.
I think he'll fit in fine.
Gucci or Goosey.
yeah. I think it was another good
Yes.
reason for having another good reason for having the session 0 was introducing Charlie into the dynamic.
Into the madness.
I love it though.
Goosey.
I'm at home a lot of the time, so doing stuff like this is kind of like an escape. You and I have talked about that.
Nathan looks like he's dying.
I'm sorry that Goosey got me.
Please don't. Don't start
I'm
this
not-
shit.
Oh man, here we go.
Nathan, I'm not drawing
Down the
that
rab-
either.
Down the rabbit hole.
I'm not gonna ask for that one. I draw the line there too.
Look at his face.
He looks so sad.
Because he thinks it's
Painful.
hilarious, but he hates that he thinks it's hilarious.
Nailed it. That's exactly what it is. Ooh.
All right, guys. You guys got anything else to say or make fun of?
No, I got nothing else except Ray should be arrested.
Gussie, straight to jail. Right to jail.
I said Gucci or Goosey, and he's the one who took it that way.
Listen. I know what you said because I was there when you said it. So
He just had flashbacks of Carax's marriage. That's all it is, Ray.
Nate, do not goose light me.
all
Okay,
right, I gotta go.
guys. Yeah,
I'm done.
that's
I'm done
it.
with
We're
this
done.
shit.
We'll be back next week for more Lesser Rings. We might be Sans one elf after that, but it'll still be fun. I gotta go though because I've got Death of the Deities tonight, so I'll be over on Jarl of Goats playing some more D&D. Come over there and join us and watch us as we possibly face an undead version of Tiamat. That should be
Oh mother.
should be
that
real
sounds-
fun.
That's tonight?
Yes, possibly
Oh, shit.
I'm gonna
If
watch that.
if we make it that far.
Damn.
Can you
I
throw
will.
on the
I'm
announcements?
gonna have to watch the
Yeah.
VOD.
I will do.
It's all right because she's now vulnerable to holy damage, so
There you go. There you
radiant
go.
damage.
One of our gods died last week and had to be rezzed. So if that
Oh,
gives you a sign of how things are already going, then yeah.
Oh shit. This will be a fun game. to watch.
But that being said, we will see you guys in another dimension.